Hey everyone, welcome to the 490th episode of Just Shoot It, a podcast about filmmaking, screenwriting, and directing. This episode is brought to you by patron Joey Family. Thank you for coming back into the fold. I wonder if our message about what Anthony Ascenda said about some patrons falling off happened to Joey. So thanks for being a patron.
Yeah, thanks, Joey. Yeah, I'm gonna put money on it for sure. So for people who aren't caught up on episodes, last episode Anthony Ascenda reached out and said, "Hey, you guys have been pushing the Patreon so much that I double checked and I thought that I'd been, submitting money for the last couple of years and, for whatever reason, it had stopped happening." And so he went and double checked and re-upped his patronage. And Joey Family's longtime listener just did this week as well. I bet it's the same situation. So if you've been a patron for a long time, just come in and maybe give yourself a double check. Make sure you're still contributing to the cause. Anyway.
Yes, I'm Oren Kaplan.
And I'm Matt Enlow. Today, we are doing a Q&A episode. In total transparency, we had an awesome guest who we are very excited for, who kind of had to cancel last minute.
He's a cinematographer who had the number one movie in the box office the last 2 weekends in a row.
I wasn't going to name names, but
has also shot so many movies that we're so
excited to talk about.
Oscar-winning movie. I mean, basically all the coolest movies.
Very exciting. So hopefully we get them back on. So this is a little bit of a grab bag episode, so to speak. I think last episode we promised you guys a murderer's row of guests, and we're still pretty stacked, but
yeah, we have a couple of good ones coming up as long as they don't cancel.
Sure.
But yeah, we'll see how it happens. So you had a shoot yesterday. I have a shoot tomorrow.
Correct.
Coincidentally with the same company, but we were talking about all sorts of fun things shoot related, but probably the most interesting to me was Instagram related.
So yeah, we both are cognizant of the fact that posting on Instagram has a pretty direct correlation to our careers, and a set selfie or a fun moment from set is a nice easy way to just kind of remind people, hey, I'm here, I'm working, I have something interesting to say, and other people are hiring me, so maybe you should too.
Yeah, and you can also tag the people you're working with, which is obviously a lot of times they will repost it. And because, especially when you're the director or like a producer, a writer, someone above the line, so to speak, you I think you're in a position to decide whether you're allowed to post from set or not.
Or if a PR company or a studio wants to stay in your good graces, I think that's actually a little bit more of it. Do you know what I mean? Like the PR companies or the PR rep from a studio isn't going to yell at the showrunner.
Right. Yes.
Basically. Yeah. And also unfairly, I think sometimes people who they do feel like they have some sort of authority over get the brunt of all of that pent up frustration of all the people that they couldn't tell.
Right. So for example, if you were on set and you took a really cool picture of a lighting setup or a camera setup or something that you felt wasn't giving away too much, and the gaffer and the set decorator were in there, you would maybe tag them on Instagram when you post it. And even though they weren't sure if they could post images from set, now they can repost this image because you've already put it out there. So
I know I love when somebody does an awesome job and that their peers are going to be stoked on it. We did yesterday, we did a fun little rig with a high powered projector, and it was kind of T-boned above the dolly, and they did it super quick, and I was just stoked and proud of them. That's the exact sort of stuff that's the most fun to post.
Hashtag shiny rigs.
Or hashtag hella awesome rigs.
Gritty rigs.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. But anyhow, so you'd posted some pictures from set. Tell me if this is too revealing.
Sure.
I work on, I'm not a member of IATSE. I work on both union and non-union shoots. But when I'm shooting in LA on a non-union shoot, I don't post photos from set until after that shoot is over because I don't want to get flipped.
You don't want any heat. Yeah.
Yeah. So if it's a union shoot, then I have no issues because then I have no fear. Or if I'm in a different city, then I have no issues. But when I do post from set, I try to put a funny caption, some insight, something. If I've got nothing else, it's just admitting that it's kind of a self-promotion type of post. But usually it's kind of about oh, I'm excited to be working with this crew member or this person, or we're doing this interesting thing. We've set up this projector above the camera, and you can even post that picture without showing what the camera's pointing at.
Yeah.
But it's kind of interesting. Or like tomorrow, I'm going to have like a Bolt Junior.
Cool.
Which I've never worked with the junior version, but I'm assuming it's the son or daughter. No, probably the son. Are there daughters named Junior? Or is that like a male thing?
I think the Junior is gendered, but I've also always wondered like why not?
Yeah.
Like, anyway.
That's a topic for another podcast. Yeah. But you posted 2 photos from set and there were no captions on them. And one of them was some people carrying a flat of some sort through a window, and the other one was some other behind the scenes thing. And I sent you a message on Instagram and I said, hey, you're missing a funny caption. And then you responded to me with some message that I did not understand.
Oh, so I thought it was kind of funny just to see this giant wall just like slowly
coming out from behind
a
hallway or whatever. A doorway.
Yeah. And, feeling crappy that I wasn't helping them. I did put down my phone and go help them, for the record. But like, it was like a 12-foot by 10-foot wall that like they were just kind of slowly shuffling through and everyone's helping and stuff. But I just thought it was kind of like a funny image. And so I thought, oh, this can speak for itself. Like, it's sort of entertaining. It was quite short. I had edited it to be, just kind of like get to the reveal at the exact right moment and then cut out before it overstated its welcome. And then you were like, oh, why didn't you add a joke? And I like sent you like some kind of like meme-y, like kind of hacky, like,
I think you said there you got to wait for the reveal or something, or you wrote something to that effect.
No, I wrote when Bay goes too hard on it at Amazon or something like that.
Oh yes, yeah.
Which is like the joke I was making was that I wouldn't ever write that, basically.
I didn't understand what you're saying. But well, what do you think? Like, don't you think you should write a funny caption? I guess
I thought the image was funny.
You said this one is a slow reveal when Bay goes crazy on Amazon.
Yeah. Oren wishes I wrote when Bay goes crazy on Amazon. Yeah. Look, I was kind of in the middle of stuff and I was like...
No, you're too busy to write a caption, but you're not busy enough to not post on Instagram.
Exactly. I was like, okay, so enough about this specific post. In the grand scheme, the philosophy behind it, right, is like, I am going to post the spot, when it's all polished, and I'm going to tag everybody, and that's going to be kind of like a nice way of like, calling people out and acknowledging people and all that stuff. And then I'll also probably post some of the good behind the scenes stills that I took, kind of in like, a pretty typical like new work alert sort of post, right? I'll write something insightful, maybe a little bit of behind the scenes or something I've learned. But I'm trying to be a little bit more thoughtful of like, oh, I can get a little more juice from the squeeze if I do a few more oblique posts, more vague posts, basically on the set day, and then something that is a little bit more specific to the shoot once everything's already released. So I'm trying to get two for one. And that's, like a little just posting strategy, right? That's I'm just trying to maximize my content, quote unquote, because I've been really thoughtful about if we acknowledge that it's important for us to post, but that it's also part of our brand. I think that the diversity in posts is important, right? If I only reposted, say, stuff from this podcast, it would get stale pretty quick. Do you know what I mean? Like the diet needs to be a mixture of finished work, insight, just kind of like keeping it varied. And so my attempt at that, it's funny, on that shoot, it was an agency that I've worked with before, and I know the agency producer, like it's an emerging relationship, but I think we like each other a lot and get along pretty well and understand each other pretty well. And we were talking just kind of about the state of the industry because she had been freelance and then joined this agency or whatever. But I had made the comment that like it used to be that work more or less would just fall on my lap, which it's an overstatement for sure. But it was, there was a time where work was a little bit easier to come by, and that I've been more aggressive with my hustle, basically. And she made a little quip. She's like, oh, I know. I've seen the LinkedIn posts. And
were you offended by that?
No, but it did. It did. I'm still thinking about it for sure. Because I don't know that you are reading my LinkedIn posts, but I have made it a point to make them different than, say, an Instagram post. Right. I'm not cross posting too much. I would for new work or something like that. But like there's stuff that I think of as LinkedIn posts and stuff that I think of as Instagram posts. But most importantly, if you're on LinkedIn a lot, you'll recognize there's a lot of like AI reformatted kind of like personal anecdote with like some sort of catchy hook into a long screed about productivity or whatever that really makes me want to just, put a
Be
drill
more
grenade up
productive.
my nose, like it's really awful. Like just so cringy in the realest ways. And so like I've been trying to post about work and be introspective and thoughtful, but in a way that's much more personal and more on brand for me. So kind of breaking the stride of, I think, what most LinkedIn content looks like, which I kind of feel a little proud about, or like,
I like that.
I think it's kind of cool. And I think, as I've said on the show and Gary Vee has said many times, like if you're posting on LinkedIn once a week, you're in the top 1% of content creators on that platform. So millions of people are seeing your stuff, right? There's a real opportunity to like, have your voice heard and gain a little bit of credibility and stuff. So it's not like I'm going to stop, but it did give me pause to be like, oh, this person who's smart and funny and who I admire and who is seeing all of my posts, because everyone sees all of my posts, which is untrue on, say, Instagram or something. It's much more
Based on your followers and network and stuff.
Yeah. And also just like, you can see a post from LinkedIn that's 2 weeks old. You know what I mean? Especially if it's got a decent number of likes. But even still, like if you're just on that platform, you see stale posts for sure.
Yeah. I get my weekly report from LinkedIn of like what my most viewed post was. And
it was from a month ago. Yeah.
Most of them are my year in review that I posted in January.
Right.
But I don't really post there that much. So it's not.
Still. But to that point though. But so it really, just made me think about it a little bit. I mean, the job that I'm on right now, 100% I got through LinkedIn. So like,
I think
you can't sweat it, but like,
Yeah. I do wonder sometimes, is it annoying to post about work when a lot of people are looking for work, and like, is it coming off as boasting,
Yeah.
And my very good friend, Tom Morris, whenever he posts a job, he puts the number of the job and the job number 29 for 2025. I'm like, I don't know, Tom. I don't know if people want to hear that you've had 29 jobs this year. And it's kind of annoying.
Yeah. That is a lot of jobs.
And I remember Yuki used to always post flight number 45, and it's like, it's cool, but it is like, it's not that it's a humble brag. It's just maybe.
No, it's
that
the word is brag. There's no humble.
Well, no, but it's kind of like, hey, this is cool.
What I'm doing
sharing
is
excitement.
We're doing a humble brag. That humble brag is like,
oh, no big deal on one side.
But no, like on set again. God, I'm so tired. I had to wake up at 4 a.m. to make call time. That's a humble brag. Being like, yo, I'm on set right now. It's sick. That's just a brag, which is
right. But what about like, so excited to be working with these people again or whatever?
Mm-hmm.
Or I got to use this piece of technology, or I'm.
Well, we're in a gray area then, right?
Yeah.
And I think that we're both essentially trying to come to terms with what our own tolerance level is for self-promotion and the way that we like to do it in a way that feels additive, right? Like the difference between a brag and like, hey, here is a technique that I'm really proud of that you can use, that like I'm contributing to the community and that they can go forward and use in some way, or is genuinely really funny, right? Like those are ways that you can be additive to the conversation. That's, I think, what we're aiming for. And we're just trying to figure out what flavor we want from that.
Yeah. I mean, if you think back to like Twitter 1.0, when Jack Dorsey was like, hey, here's 125 characters or whatever to describe what you're doing right now, so your people can keep up with what you're doing. Like that whole point of that social network is to just give people updates. Hey, had an amazing sandwich at this new restaurant, And so I think we have permission. That's why these networks exist. That's what the point of Instagram and Facebook and Twitter is to be like, hey, look at this mundane thing for you, this cool thing that I was involved in, or I'm looking for this, or
I think all of that is valid. However, I think that TikTok and Instagram, especially stories and reels in particular, I think there's a new sort of rhetoric that's bubbling up that I kind of believe is true. And that's that those are entertainment platforms, not social media. Social
So
media
you should be entertaining basically in your posts.
Yeah. That I miss the good old days where like I only followed my friends and I found out what they were having for brunch, and I could be like, hey, Oren, where was that cool restaurant? Which I know is probably in Los Angeles. That's real human connection. That's not what's happening on these platforms anymore.
No, but it is. If you take your daughter to the pumpkin patch,
Sure.
what's the Underwood Farms,
Underwood Farms, sure.
and you post a picture, I'm like, oh, Underwood Farms, I should go. Or, oh, maybe next time I go, I should ask Matt if he wants to go. Like,
Sure.
to me, and obviously we're friends, but even if I see someone I don't know, like a production designer that I'm following on Instagram because I like their work, and they're like, hey, I'm going to K-pop Demon Hunter sing-along at the Grove, I'll be like, oh, my daughter likes that. Maybe I would want to do it. Like, I don't know. I guess I'm not here. Sometimes when people post 800 political things in a row and you have to like tap 100,000 times, kind of annoying.
And I think that's like, we're just right in the middle of figuring all of this out, of like the difference between a personal brand and a person and how these platforms interact with each. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, but I do think something that's powerful about this is it used to be back in the day in Hollywood, you'd go, you'd move to LA, you'd write a script, you'd show it to some people. Someone's cousin's uncle was an agent at CAA or an assistant or something, and they'd manage to meet you for coffee, and you'd be so excited, and you'd go and you talk to them, and they'd be like, so what do you want to know? And you'd be like, well, you signed me. And they're like, absolutely not. I don't know who you are. Right. And the only time, and you're like, oh, well, they'll never sign me or read my script or anything because nobody cares about me. But then all of a sudden, a producer and Deadline is like, oh, this producer is talking to Matt Enlow about their script. All of a sudden, the agent calls you back and like, hey, I saw you in Deadline. Let's meet again. I'd love to hear a little bit more about your project. So it's like that, triangulation that we always talk about, where like people only care about you when they see that other people care about you. What Instagram and LinkedIn and these networks give us is an opportunity to show other people like, hey, this brand trusted me. This company is excited to work with me. Matt is hireable, and I'm not going to be the one taking a risk on him because I've seen him being hired every month by different people. And I can tell from these photos, like, oh, he's a one-man band with a Canon 5D on the street, or hey, he's got an Alexa 35 on a techno crane on this big sound stage with this cool set. Like, it just starts placing you in people's brain in a certain capacity. And so I do think there's value in that at every level, even if you 100%. Are with a 5D standing on the street running and gunning, because then someone will text me and be like, hey, do you know like a run and gun shooter to do this like stunt we want to do at our wedding? And I'll be like, well, Mike, or Julia, like just shot that. So I think to me, it's like there is a lot of value in like just showing people the type of stuff you do, even if it's super casual, even if it's
100%.
Like, hey, look, these people are carrying a wall through this doorway. It's kind of funny.
But also, a bunch of people brought a wall to the soundstage that's professional and soundproofed and all of that stuff. Yeah.
Anyhow, I'd love to hear what our listeners think. Email us at justshooterpod@gmail.com. In terms of like Instagram, is it annoying? Do you get annoyed when you see your friends working and you're not working? Is it exciting? I mean, I get reached out to by a lot of people, especially cinematographers. And I do think it's because they're like, oh, he's working pretty consistently. Maybe he'll hire me on one job, 100%. So I don't know. I think there's a lot of value in it.
Also, you hire a new one every job.
Yeah, I'm a little all over the place. Yeah. But I told you I'm doing a lot of repeats, I think.
Yeah.
But anyhow, speaking of emailing us, I thought this might be a good segue to our next topic, which is our last episode was like a slightly a hit relative to our other episodes.
Oh, you think so? I think
the one about updating your website?
You got more feedback, which is different than, I think our listenership is still pretty consistent.
I don't think we got a spike in listeners. I think we got a spike in people really connecting with this topic.
Yeah.
It seems like such an obvious topic. And now you were talking earlier about LinkedIn posts and AI generated like productivity tips. And it's like in today's world where like every single thing, especially in that productivity world, has been discussed and posted, and the clickbait and the catchy headlines and the like 4 ways to improve your writing and how to use AI to win jobs, like all that junk out there, for us to compete with that is really hard. And the fact that we put out an episode that's just like, hey, you should update your website. The fact that like I got like 20 different, like I had a casting 2 days ago. I walked into the casting and the session runner, Spencer, who if you're listening to this, hi Spencer.
Yeah.
comes up to me, and he's like mainly an actor and an acting coach, and he goes, "Hey man, I heard your message loud and clear. I'm updating my website. I sent it to a bunch of other actors I know."
Good.
Because it's, sometimes we just forget. And I was like, well, honestly, Spencer, I don't know that an actor needs to have a great website, but as an acting coach, I think it's nice to have something. It's your business website.
So Spencer's a reader for a casting director you and I both love, Mary Ruth, and we follow each other on Instagram, and I am more aware of him thanks to his Instagram posts for sure.
Oh, of course. Yeah. But I had a production designer I worked with in Atlanta. Jessica was like, hey, updating my website, Sage production designer. I find production designers have the worst websites in general, but Sage sent me a message. She's like, hey, I feel personally attacked by your last episode.
Yeah.
It's like, everyone feels personally attacked by my last episode, because all of us, especially you production designers, you're always just working job to job and getting recommended and moving to the next thing. And you're never just like sitting down in front of your computer, updating your website. And guess what? Production designers, like we don't know what you do, but we think that you should have a really good eye for art, typography, colors, layouts. And that's what a website is.
I hire a graphics person for that.
Well, then hire a graphics person to make your website if you 100%. If you have that team. So I think it really resonated. And there was one thing that I said and at the end of the episode, which I tried to put at the end on purpose just to kind of minimize how many people emailed me. But I said, hey, if you're still listening to the episode, check out my website, directedbyoren.com. Send me a note about my website, and I will send you back 2 notes about your website that will be brutally honest. And I got a few emails. Most of them were like, I think your website is great. What do you think? And they sent me their website, and I gave some brutal, it's not that brutal.
Like Frank.
Well, there's a cinematographer. I'm just going to name him. His name is Justin Gennari. He's really, really good. JustinGennari.com. His stuff is beautiful. And I was looking for a cinematographer that could shoot really beautiful food and comedy for a few projects ago. And his agent sent us his food reel. And I saw some of his comedy stuff, and he's worked with some people I know. And I was like, this guy is amazing. He's perfect. He's like my number one choice. And then he wasn't available. But since then, I've kind of tried to pitch him, and I went to his website, and there's like barely any food shots on there. There's almost no tabletop stuff. And so I told him, I'm like, dude, you got to have a food section, because I cannot pitch you for food stuff. Like, I send people to your website, and it's like a shot of like a ballerina or something, Anyhow, so I do think I gave some useful feedback. I did get one piece. You got the most interesting feedback, so I want to segue to that in a second. But I did get one piece of feedback today, which was from a listener named Omar, who said, hey, I like your website. It's pretty good, but I think you should add a photo of yourself to your about section, your bio section.
That's great. Yeah, that's really good.
And I am curious, because honestly, I very intent. I mean, I know you have a photo of yourself on your website. First of all, you have a few really good photos of yourself, so that's helpful.
It is nice. Yeah.
But I
should say I had professionally taken.
Yeah. Which is smart.
But essentially what was happening is my wife was getting headshots, and she was like, oh, this guy's really cool, and they're kind of editorial. I could ask them to like tack on one more look, quote unquote, and have you do it, which is what we did. And I've been using those for years, which I bring up to you specifically.
That's why you look 17 years old.
I look 17 years old. That's right. But you could do that the next time your wife is getting headshots. Or
who's going to watch the kids, Matt? Come on. Sure. It's crazy. Yeah. No, just kidding. No, it is smart. I should get that. But I mean, just to be totally honest, like, I think it's pretty obvious why my photo is not on my website.
Because you're too old?
Too handsome is what I was going to say. No, because there was a time, this is probably not cool to say, but I just felt like I looked like so many other directors that nobody would be like excited to be like, oh, here's another guy that looks like every other director that's hired. And so
white guy named Matt, I understand.
Yeah. And so I actually, in my bio, I tried to describe myself as someone that grew up in the Middle East, and tried to differentiate myself as someone more interesting. And it is an interesting time in the world, where in America, it very much kind of depends where on the political spectrum, but it seems like an administration changed, and now in a very weird way, people are being punished for wanting to diversify and stuff. But I don't know. I guess I thought it was a good note. And Omar was like, yeah, you have, I mean, I'm assuming he's us on, YouTube or something on the podcast. But he's like, yeah, you look like a nice person. Like, why don't you put your photo on there?
Fine. Yeah.
But I'm like, I don't know that like a photo would make me people more interested in working with it. And I got to admit, when I go to other directors' websites, especially the guys that do like extreme sports, like I just shot this thing in Turkey on a quadcopter or whatever. I'm like, this kind of seems annoying.
Yeah.
With their sunglasses and their
sunglasses, maybe even a scarf.
Well, that's a different type of annoying. I'm thinking more like,
but
scarf doesn't. And I don't mind. I don't mind pretentious film guy as much as like but extreme action guy.
You can wear a scarf and be an extreme action or a sports guy.
No, come on, dude.
Mm-hmm.
You think Michael Bay is wearing a scarf?
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
Anyway, I get it. Here's the counterpoint. You are missing a chance for a joke or a little bit of branding, right? Like I do have like a set selfie that I use sometimes. That's one of those it's like a monochromatic set where it's like everything is blue except for me. I'm wearing a Hawaiian shirt and like a Joshua Tree hat. And so, there's it's something a little cheeky and a little stylized. You can do something from it, like a set selfie or something like that. But I think that also there
lots of great agencies in Joshua Tree.
Yeah, sure. I think there is an opportunity just for people to put a name to a face, for you to kind of cement in their minds, for you to materialize. Again, we're talking about all of the different ways in which you're gradually raising your awareness, and to not have a photo is a missed opportunity on that front, for sure.
Yeah. I did find there was like a time where I feel like there was like a lot, like women filmmakers were like severely underrepresented. They're still underrepresented.
Yeah.
But it was kind of a big thing that was being talked about in the industry nonstop. And I did notice like when we would get solicitations for like pitching people to be on the podcast, like a lot of times if it was like a female director or something, they would like send a headshot. And I always thought, oh, it's kind of strange because directors don't usually send headshots,
Sure.
But it was effective because it was like, hey, especially if they have kind of like a gender, like ambiguous name or something. So I don't know. I think it's interesting, like that note. But I think it's a good note, Omar. And thank you. And I will take it into consideration. But I feel like it's got to be a photo that it's kind of funny, or interesting.
It shouldn't be too sweaty though, right? It should be like,
I can think of Harold Einstein, which, we've talked about many times, and is an amazing director. And like, he doesn't have a photo of himself on his website. And the work, like I have no idea what he looks like, but I can guess what he looks like. And I probably prefer that image than what he really looks like.
What he really looks like. I don't know. I bet he just looks like a guy, just like a straight up, just a guy.
I think he's like tall and skinny.
Yeah.
In my mind, but I have no idea. Anyhow, okay, you got some feedback from Michael Ryan Fagan.
That's right.
Director that just like loves making jokes. He's just always making jokes. He's like a real funny guy. Anyhow.
Where are you going? I'm trying to find the thread here.
No, I was trying to set it up to look like I was going to say something mean about him, but then I just finished. Stopped mid.
Anyway, he's a homie.
Mid insult.
We've been messaging a lot lately, and he was like, "Hey, can I give you a note?" And I was like, "Yeah, for sure." He was like, because he, like me, were both interested in analytics, and he brought up the really essential point that the not majority, but probably 50% of our site traffic, give or take, depending on your circumstances, is mobile, right? We did not talk about optimizing for mobile at all.
Have you looked at your site analytics on that? Because the majority of mine are not mobile.
Here's the difference between your website and mine, and it's a simple little tweak. Your website, whenever you click on a video on mobile, it light boxes.
Right.
So which is like, we've all experienced it. Basically, the video fills the frame and like everything else goes dark until you're done watching the video. You're X out of it. Mine did not do that. Mine was essentially, imagine maybe an eighth of the screen. The video is just playing in essentially a thumbnail tile in a 2-column by 4-row tall page. So you could barely see anything. And I was like, oh, this is bad. This fully sucks.
Yeah. For what it's worth, I do have a totally separate page for my mobile site. Like if I detect, I did this on Squarespace. I have my main page, and then I have my main mobile page. And if I detect that the screen width is less than a certain width, then I send you to the mobile page.
And is that something that's built into Squarespace, or is that custom?
I think I just injected some CSS or something, or like HTML rerouting, but it's only based on screen width, because even if you're on narrow browser, I'm happy for it to go to the mobile site instead, which basically, like you said, instead of putting multiple videos per column, it just puts one. But it's the exact same videos. I also on my website, I have the name, the brand, the name of the ad, how long it is, like some information on each one. And on my mobile site, it's just the brand. It's like PayPal, Microsoft, whatever.
Yeah. And I think that was his other big note is like in the thumbnails or somewhere name checking the brand, because I have a good number of like Fortune 500 brands that like, it might not be apparent, right? Game Fuel is a really good example. Game Fuel is like a subdivision of Mountain Dew. So you probably haven't heard of Game Fuel, but you have heard of Mountain Dew. And you, again, to the point of just general branding, if you know, even if you didn't watch the spot and you barely even register, like, oh, Matt's done a Mountain Dew commercial, is a very different thing to have in the back of your head than just like, oh, Matt did a Game Fuel commercial.
Oh, yeah. That's a really good note, Michael.
Yeah, it's really strong. So
not that funny. It's not that funny of a note, but it's a good note. Yeah. So when you should, you could put it in, you could put it in your GIFs, just burned into your GIFs, or you can
like as like a watermark. Yeah. I don't know.
Or you can on mouse over, have the name of the brand. So you put your mouse over.
So I think that's, advice that's probably resonant for everyone. And certainly for two guys who made a whole episode about how you should update your website. When I hear
the whole goal of that episode was for people to give us notes on
website. So I appreciate it. And hopefully that makes your site a little bit better.
Speaking of feedback, we got a question from a listener named Shari Albert, who says, first off, I just want to say how much I love the podcast. She has been a commercial treatment writer for the past 8 years. She's worked with many directors. She made some mention of the word cinematic because it's in a lot of decks and how we talked about it. But she said that she's been in this industry basically as her whole life. She started as a child actor. She acted in commercials, and she also writes and directs. And she made 3 projects with bigger budgets. First one started at $3,000 and won some prizes. The second one was a sizzle for a friend's pilot, and the third one, she was a proof of concept for a feature that she wrote that had a $67,000 budget that she raised and got some grants for. And so she said everything she's made has gotten into festivals and gotten awards and has done well. And she feels like her narrative work and the growing budgets there, combined with her years of treatment writing and listening to director calls and understanding how that pitch process works. She's like, I have these 2 things. How do I turn this into a commercial directing career?
So I think the good news is that her hunch, I think the subtext of this question is like, does she have a leg up over somebody who's just like looking to come into commercials raw? Yes, absolutely. All of that insight is invaluable and I think is really, really going to serve you well. That's the good news. The less good news is that I think you still have to shoot a bunch of specs.
Yeah.
Well, and I have follow up on that. I have I have like a proposed path that I'm going to pitch, but I'm curious to hear your thoughts first.
We talk about this all the time about being in the room.
Yeah.
And I think she is kind of in the room. And, I'm sure she knows this, being in this business for so long, but like step 1 of like becoming a director is telling people you're a director. And so if you're a treatment, I'd say like probably most of the treatment writers I work with are also directors. And some of them are really good. Like I've multiple times not been able to get a treatment writer
because they're booked on something.
Yeah, or actually more treatment designers, but because they're directing something. I even had just auditioned an actor, Syra McCarthy, who we were doing in-person auditions, but she had to do hers remotely because she was directing a commercial in the Bay Area. So, I think a lot of great directors have other gigs. I do VFX on the side too. And so I think you got to just remind people that you're a director. And so if I was Shari and I was writing all these treatments, I would say to these executive producers and producers like, hey, if you ever come upon a project that needs a lot of creative help or is like lower budget and needs a director, like I would love the opportunity to pitch on it for myself, and not say like, I'd love to. Obviously, we all would like the job, but just the opportunity to pitch is a great
and much easier
start. Yeah. Especially at any budget, kind of low budget, whatever, co-directing, anything, because, as we know in the commercial world, like the main job is pitching and winning the job. And once you get the job, you kind of like do it, but it's getting the job is the main job. So yeah, so I think I would tell people, but the second part, of course, and what makes it way easier is to say, by the way, here's something I directed,
I have a
and
body
it's
of work.
not a feature film that you have to watch because they will never watch it.
Yeah, I think that's right. I think there's a couple other things I'd think through. If you're writing treatments for lots of different companies, it's tricky because being a treatment writer, you're a luxury good, right? Like, we've both been doing this for a long time. I still don't like to use a treatment writer, but I do love to use a designer. And I'd say it's probably like, I don't know, 50-50 as to whether or not they have the resources, at this point. Art class has people in-house, so it's kind of a little bit more of a guarantee for you. But like, it really just depends on budget-wise where people want to put those resources, right? Like, is it worth the gamble? Is the payout going to be big enough, et cetera, et cetera? Right. So, which is all good because treatment writers should be expensive. But that means that your access is going to typically be with companies that can afford you, right? And I think that it would be wise to look at your network of people that you work with, people that you clicked with, especially the people who could be a champion, someone you really have a good relationship with, maybe a personal relationship or a friendship or whatever. Take a look at them and take a look at the work that they're doing. And especially those smaller jobs where there would be an opportunity, right? Where the risk is not as great, right? Or perhaps they could partner you with somebody or something. If you have a relationship where you're pretty tight with them, you can have a frank conversation of what your goals are and make those clear. That's the place to start, obviously. And I think thanks to your years of experience, you probably have a few of those places. If not, I think it's still smart to look at what it is you're best at and what you want to do, and also try and find a few companies where you can get those introductions, right? It'll still be really, really hard to book a commercial without a commercial
reel.
Yeah.
I mean, you have to build the reel. I guess the question is just, are you going to pay for it yourself, or are you going to manage to find people that kind of will take any director that is with a good idea or that's willing to do it?
Yeah. I think that those opportunities are out there, but yeah. I mean, also, I literally was like, oh, I think I'm going to shoot a spec this year. Like there are certain categories I'd love to break into, and I'm up for them. And I know as I'm like kind of pitching ideas back and forth of like what we should put on my reel to submit to these companies to submit for the job, I'm like, if I just had like a pizza commercial or like dudes eating tacos or something like that to kind of just round out the whole presentation, I'd have a better shot. So I'm going to do it, which is a nice way of saying like, you always have to continue to grow and flex in different ways. And sometimes that means shooting a spec. Sometimes that means investing in, a bigger pitch. Sometimes that means, writing your own stuff.
Yeah. I would say to Shari, for sure, try to shoot some spec. Clearly, you can raise money for work. You can put together a crew. You can direct, shoot a spec. I mean, you understand how commercials work since you're writing all these treatments and winning these jobs.
Yeah. Maybe even there's like an old script that got abandoned, that's really good. Man, I feel like on every job.
People always talk about that. I'm never encountered one.
Well, hard to disagree. I think this is maybe the difference in our careers, especially as I've embraced writing more and I'm like brought in earlier. I don't know. There's on the job, one of the jobs I'm on right now, it's like, I don't know, probably 10 drafts that would all be awesome spec pieces.
Yeah. I guess for me, I'm just saying like every script is based off of like some main concept.
Yeah.
And maybe they didn't choose the space alien one or the vampire one, but they chose the Yeti one and the Loch Ness Monster one. Like, I don't know that you could go shoot the space alien one,
Here's the thing about specs that I've been thinking about. It's not a spec where it's like, hey, this product is good. It doesn't work as advertising. And if it doesn't work as advertising, then it doesn't work as a spec, right? Advertising isn't just like awareness of the product, generally speaking. Sometimes lifestyle stuff is like that, but it's always focused on a value proposition of some sort, right? We're the cheesiest, right? Like, this is the biggest pizza for your dollar or whatever, like those.
Ours candy tastes the most like rainbows.
Sure. Well, look, the Skittles is like, how do we differentiate, right? They're like, our brand is not significant in a really crowded space. So we're going to go weird to remind people that we exist because we're getting our S's handed to us by M&M's and Reese's, right? All of that insight, the director doesn't know, right? And so when you're thinking about speccing, it's like you have to drill down a little bit. You have to think like an advertiser. You have to think like a copywriter to say, okay, what would the brief for this product be? What are the RTBs, the reasons to believe? And then how do I tell that story in a way that's interesting and funny and concise and stands out? That's the secret to a good spec. In addition to all the stuff, Oren, you always talk about, finish it perfectly. Make sure that it would, if it needs legal jargon, do not try this at home, or like, only under supervision or whatever, like those little disclaimers that we always have to put at the bottom. Do all of that stuff as well, but it has to start at the root of a product insight, basically.
Yeah. I mean, hopefully if you're a treatment writer, you understand that.
Sure.
Like how commercials work and stuff and what their goal is. So yeah. So Shari, I guess, do everything. Shoot a couple specs, obviously in the style that you think you'll excel at. And they can be cheap. I mean, you told us a story last week about a directing duo that just shot, before they were even shortlisted, they shot a commercial basically on spec in order to get the opportunity to pitch. And and also keep talking to people. I do think the art of pitching is super important. Like if you have because you are such an effective pitcher at this point, you have 2 spots instead of 10 spots on your reel. That's probably enough. You just have to make sure that those spots one of them is really good and the other one is really competent, in some other way. And then you can obviously kind of mention your shorts and your features and your proof of concepts, or put a trailer on. Like we've all been to like many production company websites where a director has a trailer a movie or a short or something.
Maybe this nuance was lost in my explanation. Target companies that you have A, an in with, B, are doing the scale that you're aiming for, right? Mm-hmm. And then find like spec work that matches that brief, right? Like don't go shoot, I don't know, a Super Bowl style spot for Pizza Hut unless you have a strong in there. I'm saying like find those kind of like companies that are happy to do a $50,000, $100,000 job for some of those smaller brands, and then find a brand that is adjacent to those brands and shoot that spec.
Yeah. Okay.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Let us know. Email us back. Sorry. Let us know if that's useful.
Please do.
Or if it's just a bunch of junk. Anyhow, Enlo, I know you're going to Canada this weekend. I'm shooting tomorrow. Got a lot of things to do tonight. So will you just join me for one last thing? A little segment I like to call paid dismissals. Unpaid endorsements.
Unpaid endorsements.
I'm going to hit you with one real quick. Fog machines are cheap right now.
Oh, that's a good one. Amazon?
Your major retailer of choice. I found a Popular Mechanics write-up of the best fog machines because I was like, I've always wanted one for 2 reasons. One, we throw an annual Halloween party. Very exciting. And I thought, wouldn't it be fun if there was like some low fog? Maybe I get ambitious and do a Tube of Death. That would be so fun. But like, that's like a nice little vibe. And then also having a fog machine, especially in my like early days, felt like such a luxury that always got cut. We always cut the fog machine.
Yeah.
Like we cut a drone, like we would cut like a GoPro underwater shot or something like that. It was just, there's a few things that were always the first to go that like, if I owned them myself, I'd just bring them along. So I own a gimbal, I own a GoPro, I don't own a drone, but I could always borrow yours. Mm-hmm. But I didn't own a fog machine until today. And
so now I can borrow yours.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Did you get the juice though?
I didn't double check that it came with some juice.
Great endorsement.
Yeah.
I have a tiki torch if you want to borrow it.
Yeah. A tiki torch?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Good to know.
My endorsement is to put trash in your neighbor's trash cans if your trash can's full. No, I'm just kidding.
My neighbor did that and I'm so
Did you lose it? Why?
I was like, stay out of my trash can. Not because...
Was it on trash day?
No, it wasn't on trash day. And it was...
Okay. It's not on trash day.
The trash can was not on the curb. It was...
Okay. Yeah.
In my side yard.
You can only do it if the trash can's on the curb and it's
on the curb? Day. Totally fine. Yeah. Or if he'd just been like, hey, dude, I'm sorry. I got a bunch of extra trash. Do you guys have any room?
Yeah.
Totally fine then.
But usually you're doing it late at night,
Yeah.
And you're like,
I'm
sneaking
like,
over.
Don't do that.
No, I have an equally stupid endorsement though. It's something that you already know, and you'll be like, "This is literally as stupid as the iPhone endorsement." But I realized that you can Google how long the trailers are at a movie theater chain, and I think AMC even on the app might tell you.
Oh, that's nice.
Because I was just losing my shit about, like, my wife and I would be getting in a fight about who was responsible for being late, getting out of the house and driving to the Americana like at 500 miles per hour, running red lights, trying to get to the movie on time so we can park, get to the theater, get there, and you sit down and it's like 31 minutes of trailers, which I just don't even like, are they getting paid to show the trailers? Like,
well,
why
it's a lot of
there
advertisements as well. So if you arrive, say 15 minutes late, you've missed all of the commercials, but there's still even some interspersed in there for sure. I went to go see a movie alone today.
Oh yeah.
Which was incredible. And I left 5 minutes after the movie had started because for this exact reason.
You
like
left 5 minutes after the movie time.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I nailed it. Yeah.
So I
still got to see all the previews basically.
Yeah. So I went last night to an 8:10 screening and I asked Tyler, our producer, if he wanted to join me. And he said, "Oh, I'm working till 8. Like, there's no way I can make it to Glendale where we can watch the movie by 8:10. And I said, "I'm pretty sure the movie will not start before 8:40.
Yeah.
And dude, he rolled into the theater at 8:41, saw Nicole Kidman talk about AMC, and then went straight into the movie.
Yep.
And now I'm like, the problem is when there isn't assigned seating, you can't really do that. Or when it's like some random theater that you have no idea how long the trailers are.
Yeah. Yeah,
but
most have assigned seating now. Lemley doesn't.
Yeah, Los Feliz 3 is
gotcha. Yeah.
the outlier. But it's like, it saved me so much time and money on parking.
Yeah.
Because, so just when you go to see a movie, if you don't want to, like, I love trailers, but not 30 minutes. If you don't want to see that, just Google how long the trailers are at your movie theater chain.
I honestly, they do need to fix it because, having
it's unpleasant.
2.5 hours of time is already kind of a pretty big ask, like,
especially in our attention and our ADD.
Yeah, we're just like a little
society.
strained and, so tacking on an additional 30 minutes of marketing to that is such a bummer.
Well, honestly, I do think my mood has so much to do with how much I enjoy a movie.
You're cranky about it. Yeah, you're like, who wants to watch advertising?
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you got an endorsement, give us an email. We're justshootitpod@gmail.com, or we're at justshootitpod across all social media. We'd just love to hear from you. Just email us anything. Just say hi. You don't even need to give us anything substantial. You can follow me at OKaplan on Instagram.
And I'm at Mr. Maddenlow. I got a new Letterboxd subscriber, like a follower, yesterday.
Oh, cool. Your mom.
Great. Yeah. This episode was edited by Kevin O'Yang. Thanks, Kevin. Produced by Tyler Small. Lily Bouvier does our social media, and you're listening to free music provided by the Free Music Archive and the artist Jahzzar. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.